again. Welcome. It's another Black Lotus podcast. My name is Michael Blue, along with my co.
Zakius.
And today we're gonna bring on a pretty special guest. I went to community college with this brother, and we had some pretty good conversations back then. Uh, since then, I'm gonna let you give a rundown of who you are and what you do.
My name is Zakius. I do content. I make comedy skits with my girl, and basically, I just try to make people laugh. That's like my main purpose. And I play sports. I play basketball, but my goal is to kind of bring, joy into other people's lives, because I know everybody's going through a lot of shit, especially with the pandemic. People's just personal lives. So what I try to do is just spread positivity through all that. It's a little bit about.
Hey, I got a question. How did you start doing that? When did you find out that was your purpose and passion?
Honestly, I feel like I've been funny since like high school, and it was something I would always do with my friends. We'll make little like short videos, but I never did nothing with it. The real reason I never did nothing with it is because I always had like a flip phone or Android, so I just never really knew what to do. I never got into it, but just when the right time presented itself, it just went the way it was supposed to. So it never felt like it was something that I had to find. It's always been there, and then when the right time came, it just kind of happened.
Bro, that's hard as fuck. Like, it's crazy. What does it feel like being like this, like going viral on TikTok and shit like that? Like, that must be, I don't know. Like, what does that feel like?
Honestly, for me, like I got big ass goals, so like I get into the zone where some things that I do that I know are kind of big to like other people or just in general that is really big. I get into this zone where for me it's not enough. So I can't really tell you, like, I'm gonna give you the best example of like it's something super, like I definitely appreciate it, and I'm thankful, but that's something I'm actually working on, is learning how to be more appreciative of things, because I get caught up in like just striving for so much that I forget to like take a step back and really look at what I've actually done. So for me, I would say it's a constant rush. Like I'm always going for something. Like I'm not content with anything. So I'm always trying to, level up every day. It's just, how can I get better? How can I get better? So,
Bro, I feel that so much. Like, during quarantine, I really kind of changed like a lot of my habits, and like Michael knows, I lost hella weight and shit like that. And throughout that process, I it's never enough for me. I always want to keep going. Like, I'm always feeling like something's not right. I gotta keep getting better. I gotta keep improving and stuff like that. And like through that journey, it kind of gets sometimes I don't give myself enough credit. And I feel like you probably do the same thing. You probably don't give yourself enough credit.
at all. At
Seeing
all.
how because like I feel like I've come a long way, and sometimes I feel like I'm in the same spot when I know I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, you just feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like you can always do something more.
Facts. And
So yeah,
that's that I gotta, get better at. Like what you just said, like you feel like you're not doing nothing, but in reality, you actually did a lot. Like for me, I went from, sleeping in my car all through high school, summer college, being homeless. And now, I'm not in that position, and I'm actually in a position to be really successful. So that in itself is like a blessing, a huge blessing. So, we definitely got to be appreciative.
Yeah,
hard.
come a long way. I mean, even when I see the numbers from our podcast, like I just feel like we haven't reached the level that I thought we were gonna reach so quickly. But I mean, you gotta appreciate the journey, and
Process.
yeah, the process is inevitable, and it's beautiful in a way too. Looking at the imperfections, the little hiccups that you've made along the way, and all the trials and tribulations that you make. You see where you are now, and it's just hundreds of times better. But you look at where you are now as like a starting place. All you can do is fall. I mean, you can also rise, but it's pretty for fall. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as Joey said, don't be dry. Put some comments. Put some questions
And
in the section. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get, we trying to get deep tonight.
Real
Yeah,
deep. Talk about whatever. Like we could talk about anything.
like
Honestly,
We can talk about Black History Month. I see Black History Month and Black History man intro.
Black Month is crazy. It's a crazy topic because, in all honesty, it shouldn't be a month that we have to single out to celebrate Black people. It
Yeah,
shouldn't even be a conversation because we don't single out any other race to celebrate them because they're naturally already celebrated. So, and in all honesty, without Black people, without a lot of races, I'm not just going to say without Black people, but without Black people, this planet, this world would not be where it is today, in all honesty. So I feel like off jump, just the fact that we have to put it into a category of, oh, we get a month, that's already a step in the wrong direction. It's a step backwards, in my opinion.
yeah,
facts. I think that the original idea of Carter G. Woodson adding Negro History Week and then developing into Black History Month was a great idea, but I think that as a culture, we should celebrate. Like we shouldn't. Okay, everybody else in the country, y'all can celebrate Black History Month. We amongst our own culture, we should celebrate our ancestors and the present, like all the time. We should teach our kids about the great things that our past, that our ancestors have done, and that we continue to do today, because it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, because we've built a lot of things in this country. This country would not be what it is at all without Black people. And that's a fact, you know. So we need to keep uplifting those. Like there are a lot of people. Like I made a post on our Instagram yesterday, like about Carter G. Woodson, and I know most people don't know who that is. So like I'm doing just trying to uplift those who, like all the Black intellectuals and the people who maybe who weren't athletes or rappers and shit like that. Like we have to recognize them, because
Right.
those are the people who helped to get us to where we are today. And when we're still trying to get to, those intellectuals are still trying to fight until we can have better days in the future.
facts. I mean, it's funny because I was having this conversation earlier today. Just on some like some funny shit. I was like, it's National Tokens Month because all you'll see is a whole bunch of corporations talking about, oh, it's Black History Month. Let's put red, white, and green, or red, black, green all over the place, and put all the countries that people could be from that we don't know if we're from them, and call it a day. But at the end of the day, or give a blurb about somebody who's like generic from history, like Madam C.J. Walker. Give a basic synopsis of her, or give something very generic. You never dive deep into it. But when you look in the Black community, you see a lot more. It's a lot more depth in content, or maybe not content. There's a lot more context that paints a different picture, you'll say. And in our culture, there's a lot of different people who celebrate it for different reasons. The same way how people celebrate Kwanzaa and what's that other Black holiday?
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, yeah.
Hanukkah.
That's a Jewish.
Yeah, I knew that was Jewish. Like I was like when I said
Try to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, I know some. I know there's the Black Jew. I know there's some Black Jewish, but there's another Black holiday. Oh, Juneteenth. You know.
oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then then the massive society does. So that you have to take time to see that, or even challenge the fact of if Black History Month should be celebrated as a whole, because the perspective that has been given to us by white people, or I won't say white people, I'll say the massive society, is that we are just tokens, and they'll drop a token, or they'll select one person out of the mass society to represent a certain proportion of Black people.
I'm not either, but
Oh yeah, I couldn't speak for you. I
wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that. In no means a fact.
No. I'm talking about in the comment section.
Oh, oh,
Um, well, I got a couple friends who are though. I definitely know a lot of people in that
no,
community.
we actually got no, they're Ethiopian. We have some. I'm not.
Ethiopians,
Yeah.
Eritreans, Ethiopians, Habesha, a lot of shit. Um, someone
Yeah.
asked the question. I can't see it no more.
Uh, when did you establish a
Oh,
real?
bro, cold as hell in here.
I put the heater on. Uh, I don't see it anymore.
I also wanted to say on the Black History Month topic that I think although sometimes like it does seem like a token month for us, I still think that the month is important though because we we as a community we keep having these conversations of like why is it just 1 month? Like I think as a community we need to take the initiative and celebrate our culture more
Right,
often.
right.
We can complain all we want and be like, oh, like every month is Black History Month, but if nobody's going to celebrate it, then why would we get rid of this month? Like why would we want to end that?
I wouldn't say get rid of this month. I would say it starts within like your circle and your
Exactly.
community. Like in your circle, do you know celebrate each other? Are you celebrating your fellow brothers and sisters? But if we're being honest and transparent, most people in our communities don't even celebrate each other.
Real
Like
shit.
But
a lot of us hate on each other. Um, we look down on each other, or when people are making moves, it's just a lot of animosity. And it's a lot of hatred. And I'm not even going to say that that's from our colonizers or people who oppressed us, because now it becomes a choice. Now you're aware. You know, a lot of it is a decision. Like back then, coming up is kind of like what you were programmed to do. But then as time goes along, it becomes a choice, and it's like people are making these conscious decisions to continue feeding into that jealousy and that hatred. And at this point, there's no excuse for it. Like you can't blame white people. You can't blame it. It's just no excuse. So you got to really look back and say and self-reflect. And I feel like not enough people self-reflect on that topic. So then they run around saying, "Oh, we don't have this," or "Oh, we don't have another month," or "Oh, we don't have like what you were saying."
Nah, real shit. I'm not gonna like when I worked at Safeway and like it was in the hood. It was in the hood and I just noticed like like amongst black men, I just noticed there's like the black men that I was around, there was like like they didn't want to compliment each other. It's just like we didn't want to uplift each other. We always bringing each other down. And I just noticed that personally, I always make a conscious effort to bring up my black, like all my black people and stuff like that. I like, cause what do I need to hide my praise for? If I see you doing good or whatever you're doing, I'm finna lift that shit up. Like
Right,
a lot of people have the mindset of like if I lift him up, his head's gonna get big. He's gonna stop doing what he's doing. Like me personally, when people tell me good things, when people tell me about the podcast or like any accomplishment that I've done, that makes me want to go harder. That makes me because I see that what I'm doing is working, and that
right,
there are results that you can see, and that
right.
makes me go harder because I know what I'm doing is working, and I know that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna get even better results. I just think we have a problem. Like we always trying to bring each other down, like just like like the typical like crabs in a bucket or in a barrel mentality.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And I think we need to be more conscious and we need to raise more awareness um of just we uplift each brother. We need to lift each other up more.
It
You know?
starts like it really starts within. Like I've had conversations with people about this, and some people just really don't want to see it. Like some people really are stuck in that mindset. So it's kind of it's a process, and it's going to take a long time to untrain like that habit for most people.
Fact.
facts.
I just think for the first thing is self awareness. We have to be, and if you want to solve any problem in your life, then the first step is self awareness. You have to be aware of what your problem is before you can even combat. You have to understand that.
And in all honesty, it's people glorifying the shit too. So a lot of people glorify a lot of negative shit, which makes people continue to think that they're doing okay. So you know how people glorify rappers, just
That's
You,
sick. I'm not even gonna lie. Let's talk about that. About just how like people like glorify rappers instead of,
I'm shaking this because my girl left the door open and it's cold as fuck.
it's all good. I really want to talk about like how like people don't only idolize rappers, but they idolize their mindsets or the mindset that they're, you know, um promoting.
Right.
It's that like you see all these people who grew up in certain atmospheres and carry those atmospheres with them, even though they're supposedly supposed to be out of it, because they're only in that, mindset because of their certain circumstance. And now,
Right.
since they have those certain circumstances, aren't they supposed to? Well, supposedly they're supposed to elevate their mindset and their ideologies differently. But I mean, you know what they say. You can always take somebody out the hood, but you can't take the hood out somebody.
It's all just the idea that it's like it's corny if you're smart. It's corny if you're really striving for something.
Yeah,
All I It's retarded because the people who are striving for something, it's corny while they're doing it, but when they end up doing it, now it's dope.
yeah,
Now, like, oh, you the shit, bro. Like, damn, I knew you was gonna be something. Regardless of what you do, it could be a nigga making $1 billion off of being a tech analyst or something,
yeah.
and
Or
like, gay, this and that is weak, and then the second that it starts popping off, everybody in your community, everybody's just gonna be like praising you now.
yeah.
But no,
Nah, it's like it's just very I don't know. You remember that one meme, the Miller Grove meme where like that kid is reading a book, like he's sitting on the stairs and he's reading the book and is like and the caption is only at Miller Grove.
I
And like it's just like it's just a picture. It's like a picture of a kid on the stairs reading a book, and like the other kids they're making fun of him for it, and they was like, oh, this nigga's reading a book, like. And I just like back then when I looked at it, like I thought it was funny, but as I've gotten older and looked at it just like expanded my mind more. I look at that, have a different perspective, and I see how backwards that is. Like we look down on people who read and try to better themselves, and like it's not cool. It's not cool to read. It's not cool to improve your mind. It's not. That's just not cool. It's the only thing that's cool is Hooper.
I know why. It's because what we were given, uh, what was taken away from us, we no longer want. So the ability to read was taken away from us. The ability to learn was taken away from us. The ability to do all these things was taken away from us. So it's kind of like if you're gonna take it away from us, I don't really want it anyway. So now it's like anyone who tries to strive to read or do these certain things, it's like, oh, you following behind the white man. Oh, you trying to be hella smart. Oh, you're hella corny and shit like that. Because we were naturally taught to be kept dumb. But that's another question I was gonna ask. How do y'all feel about the word nigga in our community? A lot of
Now
people.
I wanted to tackle this for a very long time. You know, I keep falling victim to it. Keep saying like every day like we shouldn't be saying that, but behind closed door, I'm just like, hey, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's just, but it's so habitual now that it's hard not to. And when it's sort of like when it comes down to cursing, you're not supposed to do that. But if you're really passionate about something, you revert back to it.
Right.
Even on this podcast, I catch myself doing this sometimes. But I feel that um, as I used to call myself the life negus, I feel like we should be using that word because that actually means king or divine entity.
So what
Uh,
do you think the word nigga means? Because no one has ever put a strict definition on it. It's just kind of something that started. So in some people's minds, nigga mean king, like my nigga, my king, my nigga, my brother. So
yeah.
what do you feel? What do you feel it means?
Wait, hold on. Sorry, Michael. I wanted to give my insight on if we should use a word or not. Um, I saw a video by Justin Blue a few weeks ago, and
Out to him.
if you guys don't know who that is, you guys should follow him. He's very like young, intellectual black man, like a little older, like he might be like 7 years older than like me and Michael. I'm 21, but like he was talking about how that word brings Black Americans together. Like it's like it's something that's part of our culture. It's something that it's the only thing that it's one of the only things that Black Americans have that really unifies us. Like that's it's our word.
But it's also used in a negative light as well. That's why I'm having trouble with the word,
Yeah.
because anybody gets to altercation, it's like fuck you, nigga. It's like nigga, shut the fuck up. Then when you fucking with someone, it's my nigga. You know, we cool as fuck, nigga. Like, so where is like the line and the way we're using it?
I mean, I think like you're you're right, but I just think it's just a word that our culture uses. I think we've changed the meaning of that word. Like when I say that word, I don't think about oppression or white people. That's a word that's part of my culture, and I feel like at the end of the day, words are like when you say a word, it has a meaning to you, and amongst Black people, that word has a meaning amongst us. And although it had a different meaning 200, 300 years ago, when obviously under a certain context, that word still has the same hate if a white person says it to me. But
Mm-hmm.
amongst people, that word doesn't have that same meaning, and it is something that brings us together. She said, but we can use our own word when the words are never meant to a person. I
I
mean,
mean, it's kind of conflicting because I don't know if I agree with that point, Joe, but I think that I see where you're coming from. Like, it is a word of, what do we call?
It's kind of like taking your power back in a sense. Like you,
So you're trying to like refurbish the word, but at the same time, like, I know where that word comes from, and our ancestors were called that in a very charging way, and I don't want to disrespect, everything they worked through just because we either are taking it lightly hearted or if we're trying to claim it back in the power of their name. It's similar to like if you walk down the street, right? Somebody punched you in your face, and somebody, and then uh, you get around your friends, and you punch them on the shoulder. Like it's kind of like, yeah, like that's cool, but like if you got punched in the face and by some big ass dude, it could be kind of it could be kind of traumatizing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So not the best analogy, but that's the one that
no,
came up.
no. Okay,
I get what you.
okay. Here's my response to that though. Like, yes, that word was used to oppress our ancestors, but you have to take into account we didn't just start saying that word. They
That
said to each
happened
other.
like the
It
1920s.
it's passed down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like, it's passed down from those times.
but it's
So
just in what context were they using it back then? Because like I said, the context of the word
no,
has.
I'm talking about Black people using it for
I
each other.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. What context were they using it for back then? Because from my what I learned is that when Black people did start calling other Black people nigga, and at first it was like a bad thing. At first it was like, okay, it got into the sense of people still could compete regardless of what situation they're in. So slaves were still looking at other slaves like I'm better than you.
for
So in a
sure.
sense, more so like I'm better than you. So look, nigga, listen to me. So I know we all got to listen to the white man, but you gonna listen to me. So in a sense, nigga is being like, what context back then are you saying it was used in?
Um, I think it's just you asked me what context am I using it in?
No, what context do you think it was being used in back then, and what
Uh,
context we're using it in now? Because like I said, a lot of people now, when they use that word, we know majority of us use that word, just talking, just normal conversation. it could still have negative connotation to it when you go up to someone and you're like, "Fuck you, nigga," or it's like, you my nigga. So it's like, at what point is it just a word now, or is it still a word that holds that much meaning?
I mean, I definitely think the word holds a lot of meaning. I think that's why we say it so much. That's why when shit, if I'm emotionally charged up, I'm like, nigga, just something like that. I mean, I'm like, what the fuck, nigga? Like if I'm mad, I'm gonna say it. It's still a powerful word. I mean, I think all words, it really depends on context. I think it's all about what do you mean when you say it. I don't think that the use of that word is holding our community back.
There's a
I
lot of other things.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. That's definitely not one of the main things I would say.
Yeah.
and wait,
I,
and I wanted to respond to somebody said that like Africans don't like when you say that word to them. I don't think that's a good comparison because Africans and African Americans have a completely different culture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that's I understand what you're saying. Like we're in the same diaspora. We're all African, but we have a completely different culture. So I don't think it applies the
we don't
same
even
way.
we don't even really have a culture. That's the funny thing.
You know what they got? They got burgers. That's what they got. They got
Yeah,
burgers, drive-in movies, and malt milkshakes,
our
and the furbishing of French fries.
our
I
culture.
I do think we have a culture, but our like it's not like
Yeah, I wouldn't
other.
use the word. I would use a different word for what we have. I feel like we have things. I wouldn't say we have a culture. Like I wouldn't consider music a culture. I would consider that like a
Tradition or a
when I think of culture, I think I take it back like far. If for culture, I feel like we don't have enough roots to say we have a culture. I feel like our roots were never planted here. I feel like we were just here,
yeah.
started doing, and we in everything. I can't really say we have a culture because we were never fully just like one. We were just around, spread out with a bunch of different people.
I think it depends on the context of what do you think culture is, because when you're around a Black American, if there's a Black American, if there's a group of Black Americans, and there's an African, like someone who's from Africa, they're they're going to feel excluded because it's a different culture. Like they're not gonna understand.
I feel
Like
like, well,
so
I'll give you a perfect example because my best friend is from Africa, and I actually it is like it's gathering with my girl, and we felt hella odd. We couldn't relate to anything they were talking about. We didn't even speak the language. We were just kind of sitting there. But the difference is that he can come to a gathering with us, and he could get along and talk to people and understand shit because our culture is really culture. Like just because we have soul food, play music, I wouldn't consider that a real culture. I would just consider that something that we do to kind of enjoy ourselves because anyone could kind of get with it. Like it's not something that's hard. But when you go to like someone with real culture, like say if you go to an Indian person's house, like they have real culture. Like it's off at the door. They a Muslim. They pray a certain way. They pray 10 times a day. Like these people have real things that they've embedded in themselves and in their culture. And I feel like we don't have that. We don't have that set thing that's like Black American culture. We
I
just
mean,
got
I feel like we have certain things, but I feel like we just don't gatekeep like they do.
facts.
I feel like
I
I feel like the thing between us and other cultures is that we're so welcoming that it's damn near scary because we don't be like, oh, you can't come in to this meeting, or oh, you're not included in this. Like we're still like, just think about this, we're still debating, going back to the N word, we're still debating if white people should be able to say nigga or not. That right there should tell everybody that we have our own problems with exclusivity. We don't
right.
have our own, like hip hop itself is being appropriated. We got people trying to wear box braids and whatnot. which are supposed to be staple things for Black people because it's specifically for us, because it's our hair, it's the way we talk, it's the way we've been through things. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
for us to have to even contemplate whether or not they can say that proves the lack of gatekeeping
I feel
that
like it's
is,
ourselves. That's what it is. Because if you really
yeah,
know something within yourself, it's like, nah, they're not saying that. And if you do, it's definitely an issue, no matter what
that
the
is
circumstance.
true.
Who you,
I'm not gonna lie. If somebody person said it in front of me, they might end up with a knuckle in their face.
yeah, it depends. See, now that's the thing. Now, I'm not gonna say I don't have friends who aren't Black who say the word like I do. But see, it's because I'm friends with them, and it's because they, I feel like they cool enough to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm not tripping, and that's where I feel like it's not that embedded. It's not embedded in us to really trip because we lost all culture, all reach like certain things we just don't have.
Yeah,
But disrespect, you take off a Indian girl's hijab or you cut their hair, it's bad. Like, don't do that. And everyone knows not to do that. And they don't even try to do it. They can go to school freely. You know how teach no hats in the class, no hoodies. Are they telling they're not telling them to take their stuff off because it's their culture.
yeah.
And we can't say
That brings up the debate of if people respect Black culture enough to even stay out of it. Because like think about it.
that's true.
I'm a big anime watcher. I'm a huge anime watcher. But still, sometimes I feel uncomfortable if I want to go out and talk about it, or like if I like sometimes like in the future I plan on going to Japan, but I feel like it's going to be awkward, not only because I don't know how to speak the language, but also because I don't understand the boundary of their culture and where I can be and where I can't be. But within Black culture, there's no boundaries. We
Mm-hmm.
have no boundaries.
We
Whether it
don't.
comes to physical boundaries, like literal like hubs.
I mean, we have boundaries, but we don't have structure within those boundaries, which creates terrible boundaries. So like
Yeah,
it's like, we have more boundaries within ourselves with our own people than we have with other people. Like I said, that goes
yeah,
back to violence, a set here and a set here, they have those boundaries where it's like, don't come in our territory.
facts,
Because, why they respect that? Because things have been done to lead to that respect. So, you do this, there's consequences.
yeah,
You step into something when somebody else does it, there's no consequences because we fear everyone except ourselves, which is crazy. We fear
facts.
what the white man is going to do to us. We fear what other races and cultures are going to do to us, but we
I mean,
don't
we
fear.
we damn near for ourselves. I'm not gonna lie. If put it like this, at the end of the day, it's dark outside. You walking down the street. Who you expecting to rob you? A white
A
man?
black person.
Sit there.
Realistic. And that's why I'm saying it's crazy because it's such a backwards mentality that we fear exactly what we're not supposed to fear, but we don't fear what we're supposed to fear. It's backwards as fuck.
That's crazy. We trust the white man more than we trust ourselves.
Subconsciously too. It's not like we
Yeah.
want to.
Yes.
Subconscious. It's kind of everyone falls victim to it. It's not like we want to, but you see you car breaks down, you see a random looking white dude offers you some help. It's kind of okay, I'm not worried about him. I'm not
Yeah.
really scared. Black dude come up in a hoodie and it's kind of like you gonna take the help, but it's kind of like you paying attention. This nigga gonna try to rob me.
Yeah.
What
It's
he
a setup. Something about to happen. Something about to
hesitant,
pop up for me.
and it's a problem. But it's also a problem not just because that's the way we look at people. It's a problem because of the shit we've shown. So it is brothers out here really robbing niggas left and right,
Yeah.
being shot, killing niggas. So then again, it's kind of like, why wouldn't I be hesitant?
Yeah. And
So
it's kind of like a paradox or a paradigm because we're stuck in a cycle of we can't escape it. We try to go outside these bounds, but there's something stopping us. And so when we return into these bounds where we're comfortable, somebody else is trying to push us to get out of it. Whether it's somebody literally trying to like say, hey, you don't need to be here anymore. we are above this. Let's get out of here. Or if somebody's like, you don't like the circumstances that you're in because you don't have any money. Um, you have to fight and survive. You're gonna have to fight to survive in these conditions, and so you want to move out. You know what I'm saying?
Like
But
us being put in these certain predicaments and positions isn't our fault entirely, but
yeah,
some of it is. Like some of it we play a huge part in. It all plays into decision making. So we were placed in this position, and then the decisions you make after, and they're tough ones, they're not easy, is what's gonna either keep you there or get you out. So
that's
it's really a simple concept.
Yeah, facts. No, you talking about those decisions. I think about. I always reference my job, but like that shit. I met so many black people there, and there was this dude. He used to come in my store and steal every day, and I would let him take one thing because I knew he was hungry and stuff like that. But like I told him when I told him I was going back to school last. Hold on, wait, can y'all hear me?
yeah,
Can y'all hear me? Yeah.
yep,
I told him it was gonna be my day. And I was like, he was like, damn man, I'm sorry to leave you. The whole community loves you. And I'm like, bro, I appreciate that. He was talking about his stealing. I'm like, why you be stealing, man? Like, don't you want to better your life? And he said, like, he's like, if I stay in this neighborhood, I'm gonna be stealing for life. And he didn't even want to leave. He was trapped. Like, yeah, he
That's
couldn't leave. Like he couldn't make that tough
damn,
decision to just leave the
that's
neighborhood.
great.
He's like, I'm
I feel
stealing for
like I feel like everybody falls victim to it. It's just those, like I said, I've stolen before a lot, like back in my day, and it was because I had to. Like I didn't have the means to get anything, and I feel like if I would have stayed on that route, making those decisions, there's a limit. It's like everyone has, I didn't have to do it, but I feel like for me, I built that character to understand this isn't the route I want to go to make that better decision. I feel like people get on that path and then they see the short term benefits and they're like, nah, I got to do this. I got to do this. This is the only way. Versus doing something, realizing this ain't the right thing, and then maneuvering your path.
Yes, I saw the same people stealing for 6 months, like, and then I went back to college, was gone for like 5, and then I worked over there during Christmas break. It's the same people stealing, the same people there not trying to help themselves out, and they're just staying in that same complacent path.
yeah,
Starts with a conversation though. Like for me now that I'm not in that position where I don't have to steal nothing. I don't have to really do these things to like survive no more. So anyone I see that's in a position like that, it starts with just a conversation and really letting them know that. And then in all honesty, you got to you may have in someone's life, not saying everybody across someone's life, you may have to be that person who steps out of your comfort zone and really lends that help to shows them. So you're not just telling them, look, you don't have to do it. Now you show them you don't have to do this and this is why. And I can help you do it this. And if they listen, that's on them. But there's a lot of people who choose not to listen when you try to lend out that help.
yeah. There's
So it comes,
always that one. I'm not even say one. There's multiple people who, if you show them the way, they'd rather stay complacent because it's hard. It's not
facts.
easy to change your ways. When you want to change your ways, it's really hard because you're used to it. And when
Mm-hmm.
you get used to something, you don't want things to change. For instance, you walk down the street every day or you get on this routine, like Joey, you start working out, right? You stay at that 25 pounds or 35 pounds, you're not going to want to go up to 45 because it's
Yeah,
easier to do that 35.
it's easier.
It's way easier, but you got to push yourself to do it. And some people, I'm not going to say aren't just built like that, but some people find it easier and want to stay at that level because it's something that's feasible to them and they don't want to go up
I'll go to
and
the
be
point,
better.
like I said, I'll take that to the point of like selling drugs. It's a very fast and easy way to make money, and people get into it. And see, it's a tricky topic too because um like it's not just black people who are selling drugs. Other people are making money off
Facts.
corporations and shit. So it's kind of hard to be like, okay, this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this. In a sense, I don't really care who sells drugs, but it's not beneficial to your well-being when you know the consequences of what you're doing, and you know that life isn't fair. You know that we get looked at and we get targeted more. So now you're making this conscious decision to put yourself in this position to possibly, fuck your life off. That just goes back to decision making.
Yeah.
And it's
And,
easy, quick. Like it's really quick. Like anyone getting to selling drugs, and depending on how much time and effort you put, if you really put effort into it, like it was a passion, you would make a lot of money.
yeah.
It's a stupid route to go, because you could do that. You could put that same energy into something else, and say you got it's gonna take an extra year or 6 months longer, but in the long run, people don't think long term. They think short term. They think now.
Yeah.
So it's. But I understand. That's what I'm saying. I'm not faulting people, because I understand. Like when I'm out here stealing groceries, I'm not thinking long term. I'm thinking I got to eat now. So I definitely understand. It's a tricky topic. It's not just something that's like stop doing it, because
Yeah.
people got to eat. But then that just goes back to decision making. You shouldn't be having kids when you don't have your shit together. So it all
Man, we
trickles
had a
down.
conversation about that last podcast. My
Ooh,
fault. I cut you off.
you should not bring no life into this world if you ain't got your shit together. Nah, I was gonna reference
Bring no life into this planet.
hell yeah, nah, I was gonna reference something Gerald said, his boo baby boy in the chat, like he said this to me a few months ago, like in June, and he was saying black people still think in the slave mindset, and he said in the context of we're always thinking day to day because we're trying to get through each day.
Right.
We we don't think in the long term. We're
Don't
not
think about
we're not we're
It's
not
hard to. We're programmed. We're programmed to like think how to survive now.
exactly. We don't think about our future self preservation. We don't think about what shit gonna be like in 20 years. And I think at a societal level, it screws us up. It screws us up in all aspects of society, from upper class to lower class. Like I think it's something that screws all of us up. And when you're talking about in the lower class, when you talk about people who steal, in the context of black people, we're not thinking about what am I gonna do in 10 years, in 1 year. Like, do I want to keep doing this? How am I gonna get out of this? They're just complacent. And I seen people still like $500 worth of stuff, and they go resell it at my Market Street in San Francisco, and that's cool, but that is not a sustainable way of life, because
that.
because what's gonna happen when they start actually cracking down on that shit?
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna have no money, and you have to
Right.
find a job, and you're not gonna be prepared.
Not even that. You gonna end up in jail.
Hell
Your
yeah,
whole life is done. It's
And
crazy. I was I was meditating on this topic probably about 2 months ago, and I came up with like kind of like a doctrine upon this. It's like there's two different things that separate a person with money and a person who doesn't have it. It's the position that you're in when you first get it, and the mindset that you are in once you don't have it.
shares.
Because a person who doesn't have money is either going to be who's either going to be complacent or be trying to find the best way to get some. And a person who has money is going to be thinking about how to keep it, how to make it grow, or how they're going to spend it. And it's very rare that you find a person who's trying to uh, make it grow for themselves. It's always somebody who's trying to save it, hold
Right.
on to it for either because they have responsibilities or they're preparing for the responsibilities that they might have.
For one, we weren't even taught how to properly expand. So, it's like a scary step that you have to take, especially when you have no community backing you up doing it. You're doing it on your own most of the time. So it's kind of like that leap of faith to lose everything that you work to have is a very scary topic. So that's why a lot of black people and a lot of young African Americans tend to hoard what they have, because it's like you don't want to lose what you put. Basically, some people, especially people who sell drugs, do this. You don't want to lose what you're putting your life on the line for off of some shit that you don't know.
Yeah,
That's the scariest thing, is some shit. know, because I'm not gonna lie, some stuff I still don't know, and I'd be hesitant as hell to do it.
Facts.
But with anything, you got to take risks, and you got to really put yourself out there in position to be successful. Because if you sit back and stare and just watch everything, you're gonna sit right there for the rest of your life, and that's not what people need to do. In all honesty,
Facts. That's
I
facts.
and
feel- yeah.
you need to build generational wealth. That's a tricky topic too, because people don't understand what generational wealth is. For one, for one, most people who claim to have had generational wealth, that shit dies off within decades. So that's not generational. That's 2 decades worth. In
Yeah.
order to build the wealth, it's kind of. I will say I'll say for the position of black people, that's a very very hard thing to do. And I'll
I
say
feel like
if
it's simpler than we think.
it no, it
Um,
probably is, but the thing I think is there's certain things set in place to keep the mass majority of people at a certain level, because
but
yeah, there will break it, there will be people who find cracks, slip through the cracks, but there's only cracks. It's cement.
yeah,
They only left cracks. They didn't leave the door open. So if you're not slipping through that crack, you're not building generational wealth,
yeah.
and that shit is very tricky.
I mean,
I
upon like I know like niggas who have generational wealth, but then they fuck up and spend it, um, because like this. Honestly, the reason why generational wealth in the black community has ceased to exist is because the same reason. It's because of the same reason that we um.
Oh,
It's
oh,
the same reason, huh?
before we say wealth, though, before we dive deeper in this conversation, what is considered generational wealth? Now, that's what is wealth? What is that
That's a
generational?
good. That's a good point.
I
I consider wealth the continuance of being able to sustain yourself.
So this is not just saying, if you can, have a roof over your
Comfortable.
head, constant money coming in, and you don't have to worry about life. That's considered generational.
That's that's what I consider wealth. To a point where you are so financially stable that you don't have to work. You can just focus on your ambitions in life. Like if I was fine if I was self sustainable, I would just be doing podcasts all day. Or I'd just be in the studio making music all day. You know what I'm saying? It's about being able to do what you want to do without having to stress about the things that you need to do.
And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people need to take a step back and put themselves in positions, because just what you said right there is the key to it all. You said if you could do podcasts all day, you would.
Yeah.
And that's the key right there that I feel like a lot of people fall victim to, is a lot of people realize in their day-to-day lives that they don't have the time to do the things that they really want to do. So they give their time and energy to a 9 to 5, to a job, to another man's dream, to society. Then you got work, you got kids, you got responsibilities, whatever the case may be. You gotta eat. You gotta do all these things. I feel like people don't dedicate enough time to their craft, their passion, their vision, whatever the case may be, to actually be successful in it, but then they complain when they're not successful in it. So in my opinion, a lot of people need to take steps back. And if that means you're broke for 9 months to a year because you're grinding for something, so be it. If that means you are living well below your means because you are grinding for something, so be it. And I
Yeah.
feel like are afraid to do that. And that's why, because you got to be realistic with yourself. I feel like a lot of people, I've had conversations with people, and they be like, oh, well, you could work 8 hours a day and still, go work on, your dream.
Facts.
No, you can't. And I'm gonna tell you why you can't. It's because, actually, I'm not gonna say you can't. Some people can, but the vast majority of people, after they go through that 8 hour shift, you gotta live life. You gotta sleep. You gotta go make dinner, or unless you're just gonna eat out every night, you gotta see your family sometimes. You gotta drive home. That takes time,
That's
depending on how
true.
far you. It's just so much shit that comes into account that realistically, if you are putting time into your craft, aside from that 9 to 5, you're gonna have 2 hours, maybe eight
Yeah.
hours.
You
It's
just
like
gotta.
then your
consideration, eating, sleeping.
brain can't even focus correctly because you gave all your energy to something else. And that's why, me personally, I have a lot of conversations with people about this, and they hate the way I think because I don't believe in working for someone else. I wholeheartedly
I respect
will
that.
self, and I've tried. My heart and my soul and the way I am will not stand somewhere and clock in and clock out because I just can't. I can't do it. Like me, I hate it.
Yeah,
Me, and I feel like a lot of people need to develop that mindset where they start building things for themselves, and everybody's different. So everyone's path is different, but you got to really start that path of like building shit for yourself, and that's it.
facts.
Yeah.
I mean
Wait,
that. Oh, what were you saying, Joey?
I want to talk about the generational wealth. I think
Yeah,
generational having assets that you can pass down to
that's
to
what I was getting to.
Right.
I think that something where Black people screwed up is we used to own property in the 60s and 70s, but the problem is
Yes,
we
yes,
used to own properties in areas of prime real estate, like in the cities
Right.
and in metropolitan areas. But where we screwed up is, I'm not gonna say our grandparents screwed up, and I'm not gonna say they screwed up. No, wait, Michael. The angle I'm taking is our grandparents screwed up by not teaching our parents' generation the importance of those properties and why you shouldn't sell property. And I think
yeah.
it maybe because our grandparents didn't understand what they had.
Yeah, but they actually forced us out of these communities and these towns, and
I
they
wanted
kind
to
they
force.
kind
I
of,
mean, like they just offered up like
They
cheap,
offer.
shiny shit.
that's what
Like
I'm
the
saying.
reason why a
So
lot of people moved out to Antioch is because the big, mini mansions that seemed so affordable back then. And it's crazy because our parents end up selling these houses, or um, somehow they get foreclosed because they took a second mortgage out on the house before paying it off. And we didn't. Not only did our grandparents not understand it, our financial literacy, but our parents didn't understand it either. So it's up to us to understand it. But now it's too late because we're stuck on our asses. We
it's
don't
not too
have any what we don't have the wealth that was passed down from our grandparents to our parents.
it's
Is
not
what I'm
too
trying
late.
to say.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
It's not too late, but it's going to be difficult. I think we had the tools in place, um, all those years ago, but it's definitely going to be harder. But I think we can get back to that point. We just need to. I think as a community, we need to become more financially literate, and we have to
It's not
take the initiative.
it's
Well,
not even about financially literate. I don't feel like. I feel like, well, obviously that plays a role,
for
but I
sure.
feel it goes back to the original conversation we were having of us as a community. If you put, all of our, like, realistically, me, you, him, 10 other people, uh 20, you just start building the numbers of your community, your brains were not stupid. Nobody, like, if you really put your brains together, you will come up with these certain things. Everything was thought of by someone. So a way to make money, financial literacy. It's just somebody else's opinion on how to do something, and then they made it fact. So my
yeah,
thing, you put your brains together and you came up with a way to build a house, or a way to build a community, or a way to have income flow through. It all starts with ideas and creativity, and we're just playing in their game now. So now we're
yeah,
in their creativity, and now we're trying to figure it out, but they're purposely not teaching us stuff. I was just having this conversation with my girl. It's like, how did I go through high school with not learning one thing about credit, one thing about taxes, one thing about income, one thing about real estate, anything that actually matters and will make you money, that is a skill. It's something that can easily be taught in a class, in a 2-hour classroom, but
facts.
they teach you Christopher Columbus and this and that, and then they pinpoint slavery, and they have a whole thing about slavery, and they try to give us our moment, but realistically, they're just shitting on our people
It's not
left and
even our moment.
right. It's not our moment. That's the worst moment ever, and that's what they
Right.
pinpoint.
I
That
think that's one of my biggest problems with like American education and just like how we education in general is like we always focus on the tragedies of Black people. We're always focusing on our trauma, like how we relate in this country with white people.
even when they have little people in there, W. Du Bois I never can pronounce his name. When they
Yeah.
throw uh
Neither.
successful, it's so quick. It's like, yeah, he did this, but then back to slavery. Yeah,
Back to
Rosa Parks led them out. I said Rosa. What the fuck? Harriet Tubman led
Yeah.
them out, but they're still slaves. It's just a whole bunch of just they'll give you a little minuscule, just a little bit of like positivity, and then it's right back to negativity.
Exactly. I just think that there are so many things that Black people have done that if we learn would be so empowering. Like I didn't. Most Black people don't even know about Black Wall Street. Like a lot of Black people don't know. I'm privileged to like be in spaces where that is talked about frequently, but there are a lot of Black people who don't even know that existed. And the thing is, there are other communities besides Black Wall Street that were burned down. There was Wilmington, North Carolina in 1899. There was, I think, Springfield, Illinois in 1905. Just there's just two more. There was five big ones that were destroyed. And I
Wasn't
think
Right.
it Pinewood? I think Pinewood was one. I forgot what state it was in.
I have the list in one of my books somewhere. But the point I'm trying to make is we need to like that history needs to be taught because we need to teach ourselves that history because it's empowering. It's
Right. They're
empowering.
not. That's the thing.
Exactly. It's empowering to know what our potential is and what we can do when we work together. And they don't want us to know that because they don't want us to know how powerful we are. They don't want us to know our true purpose, like what we've done in this country.
And my
Yeah.
thing about my problem I have with it is a lot of people could talk about it all day, but when someone presents themselves, when the opportunity presents itself to actually put in action, everyone shies away, and that's what I'm starting to realize. The only people who really come together are people in the music industry, people, stuff like that. But even them, they're not, fully connected with each other. They're not fully
That's,
in cahoots with each other. So it's like, especially, and it starts with, like I said, the people around you. Like, I can name all the friends I have, all the people I know. Everyone is kind of just in their own little world. It's terrible. And I've paid attention to other cultures.
yeah.
When they're doing something, they're all backing each other because they have that community. And it's like, okay, if you're doing this, I'm backing you. And then since you're doing this and backing me, I'm gonna back you. And then it's just it goes in full circle. But nowadays it's like, if you're doing this, well, I'm trying to do it too, and it's not room for both of us. And this goes back to them creating that level of like there's only cracks. And only so many people can fit through these cracks that now we're in competition with each other. It's like I gotta be successful and my family got to eat. So
Yeah.
I can't worry about your shit. Like I have to be on my own shit, and I got to get
Yeah.
through that crap. And it's just like I said, it's a cycle, and the only way we're gonna fix it is making these conscious choices to say, okay, I want to get through that crack, but I'm gonna bring you with me. And then on top of bringing you with me, I'm gonna bring you with me. And I don't care if it takes longer. I don't care how much work it takes. We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
I think that like Gerald keeps talking about like families. I think that's something that's kind of missing. We don't have the same family structure because when you go back into those communities, all the, like the five big Black communities that were self sufficient, one thing
Mm-hmm.
they have family, and when you have
Man.
family, when you have one cohesive family, that family knows the other family, and then that family knows each other, and then they introduce themselves to each other, and you build a community where everybody cares about each other, and
Right.
like
Village.
and like you just said, we always like we're never we're in our own world. We're in our own home. We don't talk to nobody. We don't talk to our neighbors no more. We're not doing none of that stuff. That's why
Not at all.
we don't want to build with each other because we don't even
Stuff,
know each other.
person.
We don't
We
we
don't
don't
we don't want to know each other. That's the
we
crazy part.
But we act like we dang near scared of each other, if we're gonna be honest.
Oh,
we
we
do.
are each other. That's the funny thing. Like, and I'm the first to admit it. Like, I'm not. It's not scared in the sense of like, oh, I'm like scaredy, but it's just that, like I said, that subconscious feeling like you kind of don't trust. You kind of don't trust it. We don't trust each other no more.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna be right back. Give me like 10 seconds.
No, but like we don't trust each other. Well, we don't want to like I said earlier. We're afraid to uplift each other. We're never trying to um just make each other feel good. It's always just like always some hating shit. I'm blessed to have went to like like to have been in schooling environments. Because when I was young, I used to read a lot, and I used to bring my books to school, and I'm blessed to be in to have been in the environment to where I wasn't made fun of for that shit. My friends actually joined me. They read my president's books with me. You know, I was blessed. If I had went to like if I went to like a different school, I probably might have gotten made fun of, and I wouldn't be the person I am today because I wouldn't think that shit is cool to know history. One of the first things I tell somebody, like, I love history. That's my favorite shit, and I'm proud of that. Ain't no one can tell me I'm a nerd. I don't give a fuck. You
Right.
know,
Shout out to Coach O. Shout out to Smith Summerall. Shout out to St. Leo's.
I was raised to be proud of that because I was in a black environment where education was uplifted. Like the smartest girls in the class, like they was the coolest, you know, all that shit.
That's dope. And that's something that a lot of people don't experience. I didn't experience that. The people I grew up around, it's like, it was kind of just like, bro, you doing that? It's kind of like whatever. It's like, are you an athlete? Are you a rapper? Like you in gang shit? If not, it's kind of just like, or are you fun? I was just, that's kind of the route I took. But you know, so I hung around people doing bad shit, but I never was. I was just always people. But a lot of people who tried to be on like their education, or not even like a white school system, just learning stuff in general, they got looked down upon.
Right, right, exactly. I just think it's I remember my there's a security guard at my job. I was talking to him. He was saying like
Sam
so like
Kaya?
nah, it's a different one. Oh, it's my nigga Richard. Um, he was saying that a lot of black boys don't want to be smart when they grow up because they don't get no pussy from it. Like girls don't want to like mess with the don't want to mess with the dudes who are smart, and because of that, it incentivizes.
I feel like immature people. I
Yeah,
feel like immature females won't want to mess with a smart dude. And but I do agree with the aspect of females kind of search for the negative shit. A lot of them do. And then when they realize that that's not what they want, then they go back run into, and this is when they're mature, then they go back run into someone who's, you know, really on their shit, really smart, has these good qualities. So
Man, I don't want to get into like the whole, you know, the whole politics of dating politics and gender politics, but it's crazy that you say that because I'm like I realize that the 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 it man changes from that nigga who's cool in school to the nigga who actually has a nice job and got the money. Ain't that crazy?
it's fucking hilarious too, because I was that kid. I was that kid who didn't get no females growing up because of the way I was. Everybody who did, it literally flip flops. It's like now they had that time where it's like people were immature. And when people start to mature and realize what you actually want in a person, you realize that you were kind of in the whole time searching for the wrong things. A lot of people expect black people to be slash act certain when they get made fun of or outcasted. That's facts too.
So too much STDs out here.
But you got shaved. I got shaved.
nah,
I'm
it,
saying.
it's crazy. Like I was the same way. Like growing up, I didn't get no girls and stuff like that. You know,
Bro, me
I
and you both in the same boat, brother.
it was tough, bro. I mean, I was a history buff in my class. I was one of the smart kids, but it didn't get me no girls and shit like that. I remember one time like I said like we was all to sleep over. All my friends was talking about how much girls they got, and I didn't get none. It was like in fifth grade, and I went to the top bunk and I just cried.
Why
I
is we? Oh, see, that's
I remember that sleepover. That was hella funny.
not there. I don't even know if he was. He was
You talking about the sixth grade one, right?
nah. It was at Josh. It was like in fifth, fourth grade, something like that.
I know
But
you hear the Survivor series in the background.
that's another thing I was gonna say. See, why even in fifth, sixth, seventh grade? Because I was the same way. Why are we even worried about getting females? It's
That's
like
how perverted like society is, though.
exactly, because I'm not gonna lie, I was mad all the way up until like I finally, messed with someone. I was like, the only person, and I was kind of like, I was hot, and I'm like, why
Yeah,
am
I
I?
felt left.
Why worried
I'm
about?
not even gonna expose myself like that. But Joe, you know exactly what story I'm thinking of.
Which one? Don't expose yourself too much on here.
Expose yourself.
Wait, is it like
I'm
you
not gonna
said?
say no names. I'm not gonna say no names. But in 5th grade, I transferred to a new school.
Oh yeah,
And I transferred to a new school, and everybody was talking about, oh, I'm messing with this girl. I'm messing with this girl. So I decided I was just gonna make one up.
Hey,
That didn't end too well for me. I'm
but
not gonna lie.
no, no, he made up he had a girlfriend, but it was a real girl. Like
uh,
it
oh,
was.
so you lied about dating a girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
And the shit caught back up to me, and that's all I'm finna say.
Hmm.
And then we all met her and we asked like,
Okay,
hey,
stop. Cut it. Cut it.
All
Cut
right,
it. The movie's over.
cut it
Movie's
out.
over.
Hey,
all
it happens to the
It
best.
happens, bro.
I'm,
Niggas want to be cool, and so they're gonna try to do things to fit in.
I'm not going to embarrass myself, but I got some stories.
it's kind of sad though. Like we was like 10, 11 years old, 12, have like
Say
what?
it.
I'm not gonna lie. 11 years old, worried about. I got friends over here in 5th grade, 6th grade, talking about she just back in the field just gave me that, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get my first.
Man,
You're my first kid, nigga. How you over here getting the butts? You know what I mean? In
bro,
the back of the
I'm trying,
field, if I'm still trying to fight, still trying to hold her in. Like,
I'm
come
trying,
on.
I'm trying to find, and I'm trying to get a little peg. I remember when I got my first kiss, I was like, shit, I'm that nigga.
I'm saying.
I thought,
I'm like, damn. I'm like, man, she really fuck with the nigga, bro.
like it's just crazy. Like I don't know. Just it used to be tough growing up. Like seeing all that stuff around you, and then you're like why me? You know what I'm saying? It's just
all of them, all my friends, especially in high school, they were going crazy. I'm like, what about me?
I'm saying.
I'm human. I think
I
I'm.
I I was trying my hardest not to be the nigga who's been like, where my hug at? You know?
Man, I'm not gonna sit here and get nothing. Like I had my fair share of people who
Yeah.
I was confident. So I'm not gonna lie. Even in like middle school, elementary school, I was going up to girls like, look, I think you cute. But I was
I'm not
confident.
no, yeah, I'm same way. I was not no eunuch or
I,
nothing, but you know what I'm saying? I wasn't the legend of Harvard Blue. You know what I'm saying?
and that's why I'm like, but nah. Once it hit a certain point, I realized like it was like when I got to college, it was like, oh, I started realizing now I'm actually that dude. But then I realized it's not even really worth it for me because I was always in the mindset of, and the real reason was because I was always in the mindset of I want to find someone that I could build a family with and like really connect with on a soul level.
Yeah.
So I was
That is
still,
spiritual bond.
I'm still a guy, I'm still young, I'm still trying to live life a little bit, but that was never my main goal was to just have hella bitches.
Yeah. Facts. I mean, it was for a minute as soon as I started getting them. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but I can't lie about
But the
that.
end goal never was, you know what I'm saying? I always saw myself settling down with one, you know what I'm saying?
Like, even if I did have like a lot of, I always went back to that mindset of like, this ain't for me. I would do it. I'll be like, nah. And I stood on that.
exactly. I mean,
It's a long one, but we got a question here. I just wanted to answer this because it looked pretty interesting.
What question?
Um, Corporations controlling tech products specifically designed.
oh that's an older question.
Is this?
That's an older one.
Is
We
it
can
in there? Oh.
we can go back to it. There's something I wanted to say though. I wanted to say like a lot of I don't know like how this is in other communities, but I know particularly amongst black men, I feel like a lot of black men like feel the pressure to have a lot of girls
Oh
because
yeah,
of their friends,
right.
because it's like because it's cool. You might not even want that, but
Facts.
That's
it's like
facts. That's fact. I mean, shit, damn near still to this day, we damn near feel a little bit of pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like
pressure.
to to go out and just like rampage a
Right.
little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel happier just being either by myself or as a like
I'm fucking in.
just with just one person. Like why I gotta go out my way.
It's kind of like nowadays the thought for most dudes of having multiple women is so glorified that it's hard for people to settle down in that mindset of like one individual, especially with the way social media is and like the way people, especially the way people are
I'm
being.
cool with mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool.
It's very hard for a lot of people to step back and really get back to that. And people think just go out here and catch 100 bodies and I'm gonna be cool when I find my wife. Nah, your soul's gonna be fucked up.
I just think like
I
you
was watching a video about that the other day. This dude
I'm like
said he
the
said,
black
huh?
sexual. I was comment shit. Black men are hypersexualized too, so that could also be a reason why.
But black men are damn near hypersexualized more than they are hypersexual. Because I was reading Man Not.
She said
Huh?
hypersexualized.
Oh, she did? Oh.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I was reading Man Not, and they were talking about like how black men have been groomed to be sexual beasts ever since we were on the plantation by both Massa and his wife.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy how, how the evolution of that has happened and we're still hypersexualized. Um, I forgot the point I was gonna make before that though.
Put a victim into it too though. Like
Yeah.
a lot of dudes don't realize that they don't have to act on it and act
Yeah,
on
that's what I was gonna say. You
it.
don't have to. Yeah. Oh, you got my fault. My fault. You
Someone said, and we are supposed to have a 14-inch.
go.
They
Nah,
get
that's the thing. Like and the expectations are higher because motherfuckers think we are like we're just sexual beings.
they give us
She said, "Dang, you got 14 inches."
sexuality. They give us superiority, but then when it comes to anything else, it's kind of like you guys ain't shit.
Oh my god! Damn! Oh my!
I'm saying they give us that, and they give us, oh, we're big, black, and strong.
Oh yeah, they give us they give athletic,
Yeah,
fast. They don't give us nothing.
athletics and sex. That's all they give us.
Bro,
Everything else, we're dumb monkeys.
I'm freaking out because what he just said is facts. They will give us that. They will give us that right there. But with everything else, nah, stay in your place, nigga. Just to stay in your place.
Facts.
Right.
They'll straight up say you could probably interview people and say who's the as far as men who's the best race to have sex with. You know, you do a poll, a lot of people are gonna say black men. Not I don't know if that's facts or not, but I just know it could be even someone who hasn't even had sex with a black man. It's just gonna be it's that thought process and that mindset of how it's been perceived that people are gonna lean towards that.
Oh,
Right.
exactly. It is crazy, bro. Cause like that's so true. Like we get that, but with everything else in life, like nobody really wants to listen to us, and like nobody really we're kind of like looked down upon it in a lot of aspects. Like
They do even like with people who are creative, like
Yeah.
smart black people, they'll buy your mind out. So it's they'll say you're creative. They'll say you're dope. They'll say you could write. They'll say you're this smart person. But what they're gonna do so you don't get credit is they're gonna give you a number, so they can always be on top. So all these movies that are made, all these books that are written by certain people, it's like, hey, you come to us with this idea, it's your mind. All right, let me shoot you 4 million. You ain't never heard that number in your life, so it's like,
Exactly. It's bewildering. You know what I'm saying? Like it catches you off guard. $4 million, man. That sounds like a lot. But what they really making off you is like damn near like
200 mil,
20.
and
Like,
then who've seen that before they gave up their idea, their vision, have always came out on top.
Yeah.
is they can naturally see if someone coming at you eager to offer you for your idea or eager to tell you, hey, you know, so you know you got something, especially if it's white, if it's a white man or if it's a corporate place. If they're telling you, hey, you know, it's okay, you know, we'll buy it for 2 mil. Nah, nigga, it's not okay. That shit is legit. Ride it out, because it's gonna be something.
Because it's actually worth way more than
I
that.
saw that. That shit was hella funny to me. I just had to defend that shit. That shit was hella funny.
Bro, she's spitting. She said they like black men for what they can do, like in music or in the field, but they don't want to hear anything else you got to say. Oh my God, that's facts.
Facts. That's
Shut
facts.
up and dribble. Shut up and rap.
That is so true, bro. Like I don't know. I think that's what we're trying to do in this podcast. We trying to give out our perspective. Like
So
this,
that's a question I got for y'all. How do y'all plan on expanding, and where do y'all plan on taking this podcast?
man,
Man, we were actually talking
Because
about this today over
we,
text. It was
we
hella
were
funny.
just talking about this earlier. We were just like,
So we were talking about like how like we are like growing like not hella fast, you know, like going viral, but we're growing at a steady rate to the
right.
point like the work that we're putting in is paying off. Um, and honestly, all honesty, Joey, you can combat this if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like we're like ready to blow up. Like we've seen like podcasts like Fresh and Fit who don't have all the substance that they need to like sustain themselves. You know what I'm saying? All they have is, you know, a catchy slogan or they have a go-to line, and then once
I,
they get
I
confronted by somebody, they get eaten out.
oh no, I think they have some substance. I don't think they go
Okay.
what they are
I
because
don't think that they were ready to blow up as fast as they did.
I think they are because I think they have the setup, but like they have certain things
Yeah,
that they
they
focus
had the setup, but
like
did they have?
they have a clear and concise message. I'm not sitting there trying to defend them, but I think their channel was ready to blow up. Like I think they have things that they principles and values that they stand on, whether we agree with them or not. Those are things that they stand on and they can defend when the time
I
comes.
mean, if it comes down to that, we have that. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I feel that when I look at our podcast, I feel like we have so much more to grow
For sure.
before we reach the point of complete success or like success to a point where we are going to be able to bring on guests, have great conversations with them, and have them like look back and be like, "Oh, I'm proud to have been on that podcast because we had this conversation about this stuff." And I would be delighted to come back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not saying that we don't have guests that do that right now. I'm just saying that like we're still in the, you know, we're still on the ground with it. You know what I'm saying? We're still in the mud with it.
Love it. I love it, and
And
that's
yeah, I wanted to say one more thing. I was like, for like a more long term goal for our podcast. Like me and Michael are very passionate about the Black community and giving and using our ideas in order to help the community grow. But as our podcast gets bigger and we start to make it lucrative, me and Michael both want to give back to our community in some type of way and
That's what's got me.
put our ideas into motion through action and
fact.
tangible things because ideas can only take you so far. We eventually we want to have the financial capital in order to make the things that we talk about tangible and people can see them and people can see growth in the community. I think that's where we really want to go with this in the end and at the end, but in the beginning, you know, we're just trying to we're trying to show people that like people our age can have these conversations and when we're proud to have them. I remember like a
Yeah.
few almost a year ago we had our first Black Anthropology episode and like a lot of my young homies they was like it was my brother's young homies he was saying like they had never seen like somebody in their age group talking about this stuff on Instagram live. They had never seen that. They're not
Facts.
conversations. I'm spoiled to have grown up in an environment where all of my friends think like me and we have these conversations because like there are so many people who don't have those type of conversations at all. No substance, very surface level stuff. So I'm grateful that I can have those conversations and bring that and show that to the world. So I think it's important. Our perspective is important. We need that.
Facts. That's definitely like one of the most important things is first raising awareness because people need to understand what is going on and what to do about it before we can take action. So that's why I've always loved podcasts. And like that's because we're actually about to start a podcast too. But I've always loved what podcasts can do in like shedding light on topics and different individuals' mindsets, and then bringing it together in whole, and like connecting the dots and connecting the pieces. And I was asking that question because I definitely see it going somewhere for y'all. I just wanted to see what y'all mindset was on, how y'all mindset was thinking about it.
I mean, eventually, I remember we talked about this probably about 4 or 5 months ago, but we wanted to start this nonprofit where we just teach Black kids, the things that they should be learning. You know what I'm saying? Like how we want to create that environment of which we grew up in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we grew up in a Black environment that encouraged education and encouraged a wealth mindset and encouraged intellectualism. We want to create that so that they can grow up not in our image, but in an image that gave them respect and integrity and gave them some sort of accountability and knowledge.
Right.
Which is why we want to do that, the nonprofit down the line.
I love that, bro. Like that's real. And I feel like it starts with shit like this. And then eventually, you take those gradual steps and you'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, our podcast just started because me and Michael, we always talk on the phone. Like it really started out of our friendship, and
For real. The Black Lotus started off as our friendship, for real.
I think it's very authentic because I think a lot of people just start a podcast and there's just no passion with it.
Right.
And a lot of podcasts fail, but there's something that actually means a lot to us, and we are committed to making sure that this shit works.
And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, I know too many people who have an idea or want to do something and they just sit on it for so long. So the fact that y'all, my fault, the fact that y'all are doing it and y'all are doing it, in all honesty, with not the best resources. Like if we think about it, we're on Instagram Live right now.
Yeah.
Like it's a start though, because it's just the fact that you're applying yourself and actually talking about real topics that, in my opinion, is what matters. Like, a lot of people got podcasts where they have like the dopest setups and, real studios to do their shit in and real mics and yada, yada, yada. But in all honesty, that's not what matters. It's about the effort you're putting in. And then you let everything else follow after.
Yeah, I mean, one thing me and Michael focus on, just like sometimes our, like, especially in the past, our audio quality hasn't been the best. Like it's times where like Michael, we've recorded a podcast where Michael's just FaceTiming me and my FaceTime audio is in the background, but people still like it because the content is good.
Yeah.
People.
Imagine if it was done now to perfection.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I think sometimes I see people like always like focusing on getting all the mics and the cameras and stuff like that
before they get substance about themselves.
I always tell people it's like building a tower, bro. You got to lay down that cement first, that foundation, and the foundation is you. So motherfuckers be talking to me about, hey, I need to get this before I can start, or I need to get this before I can make music. I'm like, bro, your foundation is you. So first you need to get yourself right.
Yeah.
Then put that out there. And then you can work from that foundation. If you're sitting here trying to say, I need to get all this equipment to do what you're trying to do, you're never going to be successful.
Yeah. You're stalling. Honestly. Mm-hmm. You're stalling. Like, at the end of the day, if you really wanted to do it, you would just sit in front of your phone. All you need is talk to yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what a podcast. That's how I started. I started off literally in voice memos, just talking to myself for like an hour a day. You know what I'm saying?
That's like, I can go look back right now. Whoever's on here can go scroll down my Instagram. Go to those first few videos.
He said, "Wait, this is a podcast? Yeah, it is a podcast.
Hell yeah, it's a podcast.
Follow us, the Black Lotus Podcast, man.
Yeah, follow the page. We be spitting on there.
Spitting.
The same type of stuff we talking about right now. We be talking about the same shit on our Instagram, trying to just bring insight on things you might not think is that insightful, Shit, I'm gonna type up something insightful for real, and go follow our page.
Although I just wanted to say one thing because I know it's hella late out there for Joe. I think it's like damn near approaching 1 o'clock hour.
Bro, I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow. So.
On the East Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Howard right now. Shout out to Howard University.
Oh yeah. It's time to go to sleep.
But I wanted to say, Joe, you remember the first podcast I did? At least that's called number one. It's The True Nature of the Threat.
Of course. Classic.
That song I actually took the class with when I first heard that song with Zakius.
For real?
Yeah, Roscos. The Nature of the Threat song with Professor Bell put us on.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
That song gave me like a lot of conversations. Like that really had me damn near scared for real.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
That was a crazy song, man.
Crazy.
But man, I just want to thank you, Zakius, for really just coming on and just chopping it up with us, man.
I appreciate y'all for having me, for real.
Bro, for real, bro. Like, meant a lot. It was not necessarily last minute, but I've been wanting to have you come on for a minute, and I was just glad we was able to get some time together so we could actually have this conversation, man.
Thanks. Looking forward to doing it again, for real.
Yeah, for surely. This is the conclusion of another Black Lotus podcast. I was your co-host, Mike Blue.
And your other co-host, Josiah Jacobs.
And I want y'all to have a great night. And as we always say, as long as you guys show love,
we'll
stay consistent.
Hey.
Second to me. Peace. Catch y'all next time. One love.